Welcome to Deep Dive with KitePod, your go-to podcast, where we explore the stories behind innovative and game-changing startups. Whether you're an entrepreneur, tech enthusiast, or just curious about the future of industries, we've got you covered. Every episode, we break down what's driving today's most exciting startups and the visionaries leading them. Curious to learn more? Head over to venturekites.com for the full article on today's featured company. Let's get started.
All right, diving in today, we're talking about a company called String Bio. They're doing some really interesting things with turning what we usually think of as trash into really valuable resources. So get ready to have your mind blown.
Yeah, String Bio is pretty fascinating. What they're doing is they're taking something we usually think of as waste methane gas. And they're finding all this potential in it.
Methane, we all know it's one of those greenhouse gases and a big contributor to climate change. But these guys, they're not just talking about sustainability. They're actually rolling up their sleeves and doing something about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They're tackling a few things all at once, actually, like finding ways to reduce those greenhouse gas emissions, right, by capturing methane, the methane that would typically just end up in the atmosphere. And then on top of that, they're using it to create alternative protein sources, which is huge because it means we can start relying less on those traditional production methods that can be, well, let's face it, pretty tough on the planet.
Okay, so this whole idea of turning trash into treasure, how does that actually work?
So String Bio, they've developed this pretty incredible technology. It uses fermentation to transform methane into, believe it or not, into products that we use every single day. Yeah. Think of it like, imagine like tiny little organisms, and they're having a feast, right? But their feast is methane. And then they produce all these valuable ingredients. Kind of wild when you think about it.
So instead of just releasing that methane, they're capturing it and feeding it to microbes or something?
Basically, yeah, they figured out how to harness the power of these microscopic little helpers, I guess you could call them. They eat the methane, and then through this fermentation process, they convert it into these valuable biomaterials. It's almost like, how they brew beer. It's like that, but instead of ending up with a refreshing drink, you get things like protein-rich animal feed, or even the building blocks for bioplastics.
Wow, that's incredible. And it sounds like they've got their hands in a lot of different cookie jars, what other kinds of things are they working on?
Well, that's what's so cool about String Bio. They've got this, what you call an adaptable product development strategy. They're not just putting all their eggs in one basket. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying, yeah.
This gas fermentation tech they've developed, it can be tweaked and adapted. They can create a whole bunch of different products for all kinds of different markets.
Wow.
Which makes them incredibly versatile.
So it's not just about what they're making, it's also about how they're making it, right? They've figured out how to make this whole thing work on a big enough scale that it can actually make a difference.
Yeah, you got it. And one of the things I find really exciting is this whole alternative protein source thing, especially for human food. I mean, think about it. The global demand for protein is just going up and up.
Oh, for sure.
And their approach, it's like this viable and, more importantly, scalable alternative, to traditional animal agriculture, which we all know by now is not exactly the most sustainable thing in the long run.
Right, yeah. This is starting to sound like something straight out of a sci-fi novel,
Yeah.
Who are the brains behind this whole operation?
So String Bio, it was co-founded by Dr. Ezhil Subbian. She's the CEO, and Vinod Kumar. Dr. Subbian, talk about impressive. She's got a PhD in biotechnology from Rutgers University. And on top of that, she's been working in this field for over 15 years.
Wow, what a rock star. What about her co-founder?
Vinod Kumar. He comes from more of an engineering background.
Yeah.
But he's got this real passion for sustainability.
Yeah.
Plus, he's held all these leadership roles in some really big global tech companies.
Interesting. So you've got this incredible mix of super brain science stuff and then, the business smarts to actually make it work in the real world.
Exactly. It's a winning combo.
It sounds like it. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's break down how this gas to treasure process actually happens. Walk me through it. So walk me through this gas fermentation technology. How do they actually transform methane into something useful?
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, but we wanted to share about Dork Company. They are the business development company that took our vision for Venture Kites and made it a reality. From concept to execution, they handle it all, end to end. Whether you're starting from scratch or looking to scale, Dork Company is your partner in turning ideas into successful ventures. Let them handle the details so you can focus on innovation. Visit dorkcompany.com today and bring your ideas to life.
Okay, so picture this, right? You've got all this methane coming from a landfill, let's say, and instead of it just like wafting away into the atmosphere,
Yeah.
they capture it, and then they feed it to these, well, they're like specially designed microbes. And these microbes, they basically digest the methane. And then what's left over, as a byproduct, is this like super nutrient-rich substance.
So it is kind of like brewing beer then, but instead of ending up with a drink, you're getting, like you said, these valuable biomaterials.
Exactly. And the best part is it's like way more efficient,
Yeah.
and it's got a much lower environmental impact compared to those old school ways of making the same stuff.
It sounds like a total win-win.
Oh, it totally is.
But I'm guessing this didn't just happen overnight. Like,
Right.
what's the secret sauce? What makes it all work?
Well, String Bio, they've got this really cool blend of expertise. Like, they've got people who really know their stuff in synth biology, chemistry, even process engineering. It's not just that they stumbled on some, lucky scientific breakthrough. They actually figured out how to make it work in the real world, like on a commercial scale.
Which is huge, right? Because you can have the best idea in the world,
Yeah.
but if you can't actually make enough of it to matter, then what's the point?
Totally. Scaling up, that's the make or break challenge for like pretty much every biotech company out there.
Right.
But String Bio, they've nailed it.
That's awesome. Okay, so they've got the tech, they've figured out how to produce it. But what about results? Like, how are they actually doing out there in the market?
I think their track record speaks for itself.
Okay, good.
They're racking up awards left and right. Like, just recently, they got recognized as a top innovator at the Economic Times Startup Awards. It was a pretty big deal.
Wow, that is impressive. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They've been recognized for their innovation, obviously, but also for, like, how committed they are to sustainability. They got the EarthCare Award. And get this, they even landed a spot on the Goldman Sachs Global Clean Tech 100 list.
Goldman Sachs, now those guys don't mess around. It sounds like String Bio is really making waves. What about partnerships? Have those played a big role in their success?
Oh, partnerships have been, like, absolutely essential. Like, take their collaboration with Woodside Energy Group, for instance. They're, like, a major player in the energy sector.
Yeah.
And they've invested a ton in String Bio because they see the potential, especially when it comes to, decarbonization efforts.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's one thing to have the technology, but when you've got the backing of a big company like Woodside,
Yeah,
it can make all the difference.
absolutely. And it's not even just about the money, really. Often these collaborations bring, like, invaluable expertise and guidance. Like, String Bio is also working with venture capital groups like Anchor Capital, and they're bringing a ton of experience to the table.
It's like they're putting together a dream team over there. Okay, let's talk numbers for a second. How's String Bio doing financially?
Really well. Like, last fiscal year alone, they saw a huge jump in revenue, pulled in over 14 crore rupees. That's about 1.7 million US dollars, which is, a pretty significant increase from the year before.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the best part is it's not just a one-time thing, Their growth has been consistently strong, which is so important. Shows that they're building something real,
So what's next for String Bio? What are they cooking up now?
Well, they're keeping some things under wraps for now, but they are actively looking for ways to, like, expand their product line.
Yeah.
And check out new markets.
Okay, playing it close to the chest. Well, I'm excited to see what they come up with next. Now, let's bring it back to our listeners for a minute. We've covered a lot of ground today. What are, like, the key takeaways from String Bio's story? What can people listening learn from their success? So much to unpack here. But if you had to pick one thing, what's the most important lesson someone listening to this could take away from String Bio's story?
That's a good question. I think it really highlights how important it is to, like, shift your perspective sometimes. String Bio, they looked at something that most people just saw as a problem, methane, right? And they saw opportunity. They're showing us that what we often just throw away could actually be, like, the foundation for something super valuable.
It's like that old saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. But, like, on a global scale, right? And the best part is they're not just, proving a point. They're actually demonstrating that sustainability and business success can go together.
Absolutely. String Bio is living proof that you can do good for the planet and do good business at the same time. In fact, I'd argue those two things, they often go hand in hand. And they've managed to pull this off by combining, cutting-edge science with a really smart approach to business. They get the importance of partnerships, they're adaptable, and they haven't forgotten about regulations either, which let's be real, is crucial in the biotech world.
It sounds like they've set a pretty high bar for everyone else.
Like,
They've shown us what's possible when we start to, reimagine waste and really embrace innovation.
yeah, and their story, I think it speaks to the incredible potential of biotechnology. Like, we can use it to address some of the biggest challenges facing the planet right now. Climate change, food security, you name it.
It's pretty inspiring to see a company like this making such a big impact. Makes you wonder what other industries could benefit from a similar approach, What other trash is out there just waiting to be transformed into treasure? With a little bit of ingenuity.
It really makes you think.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the world of string bio. We hope you enjoyed this journey as much as we did. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Deep Dive with KitePod. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to chase your own ideas. Don't forget to subscribe for more episodes featuring the latest in startups, tech, and entrepreneurship. And as always, you can find in-depth articles and more at venturekites.com. Until next time, keep your ideas rolling.